First of all, Ernest, I would like to start off by giving a shout out to FYF Sports Debates Podcast. I really love that podcast. I really do.
The name above names, worthy of all his praise, that still ain't enough, yeah. You don't know how hard I prayed, and he looked in my grave and he told me get up, yeah. At times I wanted to give up, told me trust him, even with faith the same size as the mustard seed, yeah. That was enough to me right where I'm at. Free me from places that I can't go back. Reckless to righteous when Christ is in that. Called on his name cause his power's unmatched. Had me in shackles till he broke the chain. Killing my flesh, he's my license for that. Renew my mind, so my mindset for that. When it's set up, I got can't be set back. Ready, set, go. Yeah, he made me ready, he set me up, then told me go.
FYF Sports, man. Lamar, we back. Got a morning show for you guys, man. Got some good information for you guys today, man. Salute to Jared in the chat, man. I see you, P. Rose, man. We got Sax. We got Heather, man. We got Miss Archie in there, man. Keep on moving. Salute. Good morning as well, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up to FYF Sports today, man. Like I said, these morning streams are a little different, man. We like to really lock in on these morning streams. I'm going to be going over some information, and then depending on how many people want to actually pull up, we can open the panel up, because I think after I discuss and read some of the details that I have, after I go through this information, I think a lot of people want to come up, and that it's been we've done multiple videos on this situation with Deshaun Watson. And there have been a lot of people on either side of the fence, primarily because these are all allegations. And when it comes to allegations, that's what I expect. I don't expect everybody to be on the side that I believe or the side that I don't believe. Again, these are just all allegations. But what's been happening in this case is more and more information about this case has been starting to get leaked out. And certain things that are factual are now starting to get disclosed. And it starts to shed a new light on this case. So regardless of how you previously felt about this case, whether positive or negative, whether you thought Deshaun Watson was a creep or some type of predator, at the end of the day, we have to go off the facts. And Ray DeRazzo, I understand what happened last time. But see, what we doing today we not necessarily talking about personal feelings, right? Today we discussing a final case disposition that was released by the judge in the civil case. So whenever a civil case closes, you guys, what you have is you have the civil case judge. He releases a final disposition. So even though the majority of these cases were closed with some type of settlement, the judge still has to close the case out on his end. And the only way a judge can close a case out is by issuing something called a final disposition. And this is where a judge issues his statements on the particular case. This is where he dictates his thoughts on the case based on the evidence that was presented. And then he closes the case out. whether it's both sides agreed, whether one party was convicted, whether one party was found not guilty. Either way, a judge always has to come with something called a final disposition. And we have the full document right here. It's a 7-page document. And the one thing that surprised me when I started doing my research on final dispositions, generally a judge's final disposition is 1, maybe 2 pages. If you're talking about some major, no, the entire case isn't over, but a lot of the civil cases were closed. And so remember when Watson came to that settlement agreement where the majority of these cases were settled, the judge had to issue a final disposition. And so I think there's only a few cases remaining, if any. I may be mistaken, but I'll have to double check on that. But this judge, when I read this final disposition, I'm going to be putting it on the screen and we're going to be going through it today. Y'all going to be surprised because normally, so I'll just use O.J. Simpson's case. In O.J. Simpson's case, we know it was a very complicated murder trial. The trial went on days and days. There was multiple depositions. I'm talking about, and then the judge's final disposition on that case was only 2 pages. In this case right here, it's a 7-page disposition from the judge. And man, and see, look, D. Lewis, you see, and that's where I say we got to be careful before we start labeling people without facts. When we start labeling people based on allegations or emotions, it's just similar to how what's going on with Ja Morant. Everybody's labeling Ja Morant based on allegations. There's no facts to support any of the allegations. That's why I dropped my community post and said, I'm not going to participate in this canceling a Ja Morant based on a whole bunch of allegations that from the outside looking in have no factual basis to them. There's no video. There's no facts to him. There's a picture of him with a gun. Okay. Might not have been the most ethical thing to do. Just like with Deshaun Watson, there's a lot of things that we see going on in this case ethically that probably weren't the brightest ideas. But when we're talking legally, did he break the law? And the same thing with Ja Morant. Did Ja Morant break the law? Was he legally registered? Is he a felon carrying a gun? And so before I start to label and slam these people, it's crazy. D. Lewis says the fact is 27 people ain't lying. And D. Lewis, I got a legal document from a judge. I have a legal document from the judge in the civil case. You are free to have your own opinion, but I like to allow my opinion to be swayed and motivated by the facts. And so we're going to be reading a document released by the judge, his final disposition of the case. That's when we're going to move. Actually, I'm going to go ahead as we go through this document, and I'm going to try to go through it as much of this document as possible. And look, I'm just giving you guys what the judge said. Afterwards, we can bring you guys on and we can get your thoughts based on what the judge released in this case. Does it change your perception of the case? Does it change anything with regards to how the Browns or the NFL should handle Deshaun Watson? That's what we need to proceed with. But before we get started here, y'all, let me get this up on the screen. I'm gonna get that Cash App up on the screen. If it's possible, salute to everybody in here. If you support the show, if you're a fan of the show, if you've been watching for a while, support FYF Sports, man. Man, like I said, and see, the beautiful thing about this right here is there's no, and salute to Jacob Jennings, man. Salute, longtime supporter of the channel, man. He's always coming through supporting heavy, man. He's been here. He's like one of the day one fans, along with Jared Thomas, Ray DeRazzo as well. But we got to get to this. And like I was just about to say, no matter how you feel about this case, you will not find mainstream media giving you the details on this case like we've given you the details on this case. Remember, we were one of the first people to start talking about this case on YouTube. It even caused our channel to get shut down for 90 days because we had information. We were kind of ahead of the game. And like I said, the only thing we've been doing here is been releasing the facts without putting any extra sauce on it, without any extra intent on it. Like when ESPN talks about it, they have an intentional bias. Their intent is to demonize Watson. I don't have any intent to demonize Watson. I just want to put out the facts. If the facts say he's guilty, then he's guilty. If the facts say he's innocent, then he's innocent. But I've been seeing too many mainstream media. They try to paint this story in a certain light to push a certain narrative. Salute to BJ. He says, stop punching them fools on Ticket Panel. I don't know, BJ, man. BJ, man, I've been trying to get him over here to debate, man. Head-to-head debates. Mr. Massa invited him over, man. It's too hard, man. It's not worth the time no more. Look, Denzel, he says, Mina Cops facts. It's crazy how they paint this light. You know, one of the funniest things to me before we get into this document, because I'm about to go ahead and get this document on the screen. One of the funny things to me is that all of the women who were a part of this civil case were so opposed to Deshaun Watson signing his new contract. And the first thing I said was, well, if y'all win the civil case, how y'all expect him to pay y'all if he don't sign a new contract? Some of the women in the case were saying, "Oh, it's disgusting that he got a new contract." Well, it's not like they were filing. The criminal case was dismissed. Remember, it wasn't. The 2 grand juries dismissed this case in 2 different counties. That's not an easy thing to do. 2 grand juries. I was like, what do y'all expect this man to do? If y'all do win this case, how do you expect to get paid? I think this cancel culture, man, I think they're kind of slow. The cancel culture is kind of slow. And the people in this case aren't the brightest in the shed either. We're going to get to that right here. Let me share my screen. All right, hold on. All right, here we go right here. All right, here we go right here. I'm going to start from the beginning of the document right here. All right, here's the final disposition amount. Now, look, you guys, it is a long document. It is a long document, y'all. So we're going to try to get through as much of it as possible. I'm going to really try to hit on the most important parts of the document. And this is the page 1 of the document right here. All right, here we go right here. Okay, so a salute to Percy Bedford. Percy Bedford says Jared Thomas is not about the women lying. It says Deshaun and those women had an agreement for services performed. It is apparent that these women want more money for the services that were paid. And then Mingo says, I go one farther. That woman judge even said that it wasn't a strong case and she dismissed it. And look, y'all, this is the civil case judge. Now, the civil case judge, remember, the criminal case never even got to a courtroom. A grand jury, well, it got to a courtroom, but it never really got to, actual charges. So the grand jury threw 2 cases out. So we never saw what it would look like or how it would unfold in a criminal setting. In the civil setting is different because in a civil setting, you allow in much more evidence that probably wouldn't be admissible in a criminal court. And it's much easier for potential victims to explain or display their case, right? You got a lot more leeway going on there. So we're going to go through it right here. So it says, basically it just starts off in the document. It says, talks about the lawsuits being filed against Watson. It says Watson has been adamant that he did not engage in any of the improper conduct that has been alleged. At the same time, he and his defense have insisted that they adamantly oppose, condemn, and disapprove of any type of misconduct against women. It says legitimate claims should and have been reported to authorities, taken seriously, and proponents treated respectfully. All right. Now, not all of the accusers in this document were released to Deshaun Watson until the final disposition was released. And this is what the judge stated, you guys. And I'm going to go through a series of things, and then we're going to bring you guys in to talk about it. But he says, however, he says, since Watson has learned the identity of his accusers, his legal team has uncovered, since this civil case begun, numerous allegations in this onslaught of cases that are simply not true. And he basically says, in my findings, these are the things that the judge found that were factually not true. This is according to the judge's findings after looking at all the evidence. He says so he gave some examples as to some of the things that were presented as allegations, but he said these were just not true. Or just things that kind of muddied the case and made the women seem not very credible. He says, these are some of the examples. He says, after the massage therapy sessions with Mr. Watson, he says, the judge says 8 plaintiffs bragged about, praised, and were excited about massaging Mr. Watson. The judge said 7 plaintiffs were willingly worked or offered to work with Mr. Watson after the alleged incidents. 3 plaintiffs lied about the number of sessions that they actually had with Mr. Watson. 3 plaintiffs lied about their alleged trauma and resulting harm. 5 plaintiffs told others that they wanted to get money out of Mr. Watson. And 5 plaintiffs have scrubbed or entirely deleted their social media accounts. Now, this is what the judge is saying. In the judge's final disposition, this is what the judge is saying. These are the things that I found to be true in this case. Right? I want y'all to listen to some of those things. Because remember, on the first time we talked about this case, we actually pulled the IG accounts up. This is before they deleted their. We jumped on this so quickly. Before they deleted their IG accounts, because I told you guys that they deleted these IG accounts. We actually put them up on the screen, and we saw very quickly that that some of the accusers' IG pages were just simply an advertisement for like some form of like online prostitution. So here it is right here. We're going to continue on. Page 2. Page 2. The judge further states, it was not until the plaintiffs meaning the accusers, saw an opportunity. Okay. This is the judge speaking, y'all. It was not until the plaintiffs, in other words, the accusers, saw an opportunity for a money grab that they changed their stories to convert therapy sessions they bragged about to friends and family to something much more nefarious. Innocent questions about whether the therapists were comfortable with therapy Mr. Watson saw evolved into sexual innuendo that the plaintiffs used to bolster their claims for money. He says, for example, in the first lawsuit file, plaintiff Ashley Solis, remember, Ashley Solis is the woman that was on TV crying, trying to pull tears out of nowhere. And it says implies that Mr. Watson's questions asking if she was comfortable with certain areas of his organization is making him that his organization is making him get worked on was somehow sexually suggestive. However, the judge states that same question, however, posed to a therapist not seeking to exploit Mr. Watson was perceived as it was intended, a legitimate therapeutic inquiry. Ms. Solis' skewed perception of Mr. Watson's legitimate and innocent query, and it became a prototype for the assembly line of similar allegations in the subsequent lawsuits. We're going to read that one more time. Now, remember, this is directly aimed at the lady or the accuser who's been at the forefront of this. She's the one that's been at the very forefront of all of these allegations. I'm going to read it one more time. It says, Plaintiff Ashley Solis implies that Mr. Watson's question, asking if she was comfortable with certain areas his organization is making him get worked on, was somehow sexually suggestive. He said that same question, however, posed to a therapist not seeking to exploit Mr. Watson, was perceived as it was intended, a legitimate therapeutic inquiry. Ms. Solis's skewed perception of Mr. Watson's legitimate and innocent query became a prototype for the assembly line of similar allegations in subsequent lawsuits. Okay, the judge further states these lawsuits are replete with mischaracterizations of Mr. Watson's conduct. I'm going to read that one more time for you guys. The judge states these lawsuits are replete with mischaracterizations of Mr. Watson's conduct. These range from being misleading to fraudulent to slanderous. And more importantly, only 2 of the 22 lawsuits allege that Mr. Watson forced any type of sexual activity, an allegation Mr. Watson vehemently denies. All right. And come on, y'all. This is the judge talking right here. Now, as we go into page 3, and this is what was crazy. The judge went into very, very deep details as to the problems with all of the plaintiff's allegations in his final disposition of this case. All right. And so this is the judge lists this out. This is multiple pages long. So this is crazy, y'all. Look, y'all. And look, before we continue on, man, look, nobody is giving y'all this information, man, as detailed, man. There's nobody on YouTube breaking this information down. ESPN didn't tell you a final disposition was released. ESPN didn't tell you that 2 grand juries failed to charge him because the evidence didn't align, because there was too many lies, right? The only thing I heard Molly Karam say on ESPN was Molly Karam said on ESPN that she thinks that he was able to beat 2 grand juries in 2 separate counties because he has the money. Okay. Or maybe there were just this case was lacking real evidence. That's maybe what this case was missing. And this is all from the judge. All right, so we're going to keep going. We're going to keep cooking with this, y'all. So it says, problems with the plaintiffs or the so-called accusers' allegations. It says, Mr. Watson received the plaintiffs' names. He said received all of the plaintiffs' names less than a week ago. He's based on what I have been able to determine. This is what he feels are problems with the plaintiffs' claims. He says, so A, this is one of the number one things. He says, hold on right here. Let me get this right here. Because I actually got the names. So I'm not going to say names here because I got the names blurred out. So we're going to blur out the names for privacy. So we're just going to say the first plaintiff claims in a lawsuit that she is disgusted by Mr. Watson. Yet after her therapy session with him, she bragged to friends and family members about massaging Mr. Watson and told them that she thinks he is a kind person. All right. And actually, let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the names, man. They got Deshaun Watson's name all out there. We're going to get their name out there. Hold on. Let me pull the unfiltered one up. Because I think we need to do the unfiltered one. I think we need all the names on this one. He says, but I like how Stephen A. Smith checked her, though. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith was getting on her about it. He was trying. And the thing is, you can tell Stephen A. Smith really wanted to go in, but it just seems like Molly Karam is extremely. Look, Mudbone. This is all public information. This is all public information. So I can put it out there. It's all public information. So it's not really violating anybody's privacy. The cases, there's been a final disposition. They received the little money that they was trying to get. So it is what it is. Hold on. Let me pull it up right here. All right, here it is right here. He says, yeah, we got to. Because that just lends to the credit. Here it is right here. Here's the unedited. All right. Let me make sure I get it right here. And this is just here. I'm gonna put it over here. All right, here we go right here. All right, here we go right here, y'all. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read the blanks as well. That way y'all can do your own research as well. So it says in this first section right here. So it says, obviously, after the massage therapy session with Mr. Watson, plaintiffs bragged about, praised, and were excited to massage Mr. Watson. All right. So it says plaintiff, the first plaintiff, right? Because remember, a lot of these plaintiffs were able to walk around in secrecy. A lot of these plaintiffs were able to walk around without having their face put on a camera. Right? They could say anything. As the judge already stated, that a lot of the things that they stated were fraudulent, misconceptions, or slanderous. So it says the first plaintiff by the name of Shanae Lawson claims in a lawsuit that she is disgusted by Mr. Watson. Yet after her therapy session with him, she bragged to friends and family members about massaging Mr. Watson and then told them that she thinks he is a kind person. All right. Next up, a security guard at a spa where Mr. Watson received a massage stated that plaintiff Tangi Johnson was happy and laughing after her interactions with Mr. Watson. So at one of the spas where these so-called these so-called incidents happened, there was security guard. There was security on staff. See, they don't tell you that. It was security on staff. And the security guard said she was excited about having worked on him and did not want any other therapist to work on him. It says, according to a security guard present at another spa, plaintiff by the name of Marshall Davis, who had sessions with Mr. Watson, it says Ms. Davis, and this is what this is a security guard at another spa. So 2 spas where there were 2 security guards, supposedly 2 incidents, but none of the women notified the security guard that anything crazy happened. But it says Marshall Davis was laughing and appeared in good spirits. Another witness characterized Miss Davis as jolly after working on Mr. Watson. And Miss Davis told multiple family members that she would massage Mr. Watson again. She even told people that she was not into men. She said, quote, his body is beautiful and soft, and that if she were not a lesbian, she would have jumped on Mr. Watson. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. So, and I'll scroll with it. Plaintiff Chelsea Bell failed to explain that after the first 2 therapy sessions, which she alleges were increasingly uncomfortable, she willingly invited Mr. Deshaun Watson to come to her house for the last 2 therapy sessions. So Chelsea Bell said she was extremely uncomfortable during the first 2 therapy sessions, so uncomfortable that text messages exposed her inviting Deshaun Watson to her home for the final 2 therapy sessions. Okay. Nah, but some of the details have been out, Isaac, but ain't no names been attached to it either. We got plaintiffs Kayla Hayes, Robin Cito, and Kimberly Bryce omitted that after their sessions with Mr. Watson, they told him that they would gladly work with him again. In fact, Kimberly Bryce reported to a close relative that she was thrilled to have had the opportunity to massage Deshaun Watson. We'll keep on moving on because remember, I like how the judge is literally, like the judge isn't talking generally. He's breaking down his final disposition to names and circumstances that led to him writing a disposition of this nature. All right, he says plaintiff Erica Chapman claims that after the initial therapy session, Mr. Watson hounded her about setting up another session. She failed to explain that she eagerly showed up to Mr. Watson's house to give him another massage before he even had a chance to book another appointment. We'll keep moving on. We'll keep moving on. And look, and here's the thing. These aren't details anymore. These are now facts. These are no longer details. These are all facts. These are things that have been already factually proven. So we got to stop using words to kind of soften the blow about what this is. These are all now facts. All right. Let's get right here. We'll go to the next section of the judge's final disposition, right? The judge says in section B, he says the plaintiffs willingly worked or offered to work with Mr. Watson after the alleged incidents. All right. At least 5 of the plaintiffs chose to work with Mr. Watson even after they claim he acted offensively and aggressively in prior sessions. The judge named names: Erica Chapman, Kayla Harrington, Rebecca Nagy, Toy Garner, and Chelsea Bell. This, of course, raises the question of why they would agree to follow up therapy sessions when they claim their experiences made them feel like they wanted to vomit, quote unquote, and caused them to no longer accept massage clients for fear of repeat of this type of harassment. The judge continues. Plaintiff Tangi Johnson claims she was fearful, quote unquote, and felt violated, terrified, and disgusted after her therapy session with Mr. Watson. She does not explain why then, on more than one occasion, she massaged him after his football games to check in on him and asked to massage him again. The next one right here, it says, contrary to plaintiff Crystal DeRosa's claim that she was so disturbed by what allegedly occurred that she chose not to contact Mr. Watson about receiving the rest of the payment for the session. The evidence, according to the judge, shows that after the alleged incident, she did attempt to contact Mr. Watson and even asked to work with him again. It says right here, in stark contrast to plaintiff's Kaylin Harrington's statement that after the alleged incident, she told Mr. Watson that she would not work for him and has not been able to move on from these past experiences. She contacted Mr. Watson multiple times, telling him that she was attracted to him and wanted to go on dates with him. And if you look at the exhibits attached to this, that was proven by text messages that Deshaun Watson ended up turning over to the court as evidence. The problem with him turning over his text to the court as evidence is that the women couldn't turn that over because, remember, they scrubbed their phones and their social media pages as soon as they jumped on this lawsuit. So it was Deshaun Watson, if he had have gotten rid of any of this information, it would have put him in a tough situation to prove his innocence. Luckily, he held on to the details. And we'll keep going. We're in another section of this. It says the plaintiffs lied about the number of sessions that they actually had with Mr. Watson. It says the following plaintiffs, and he names names. This is what I love about this judge. See how he broke this down and he named names. He didn't speak on it generally and just say, okay, because this one person had a shady story, I'm going to label everybody as shady. No, what he did was he broke down the inconsistencies across all of the women who have very similar inconsistencies, who whenever it was time for them to show proof of what actually happened, there was either no proof or they had scrubbed certain information so that it would just be up for doubt. But he says the following plaintiffs failed to mention that they had more therapy sessions with Mr. Watson than what they testified to. Kayla Hayes, Robinita Miller, Robin Caicedo. This is presumably these plaintiffs minimized their interaction with Mr. Watson because these facts undermine their allegations. And now new names are getting introduced to the fold. And what is he talking about? The judge is stating here, they lied about certain things intentionally. It was found out that they lied about these things because Deshaun Watson was able to turn over text messages and Instagram messages and things of that nature to detail times and dates of when he met up with these women again for additional sessions. All right, it says right here in section D, the judge states plaintiffs lied about their alleged trauma and resulting harm. Now, when you listen to ESPN, y'all, when you listen to ESPN, listening to ESPN, that's all Molly Karam and Mina Kimes and all the women talk about. They talk about this trauma and the harm and okay. Well, let's read about what the judge thought about the alleged trauma and resulting harm. All right. It says plaintiff Ashley Solis. Remember, keep that name in your mind because Ashley Solis is the face of this case. Right? She's the face of it. She's the one going on all these TV shows, perpetrating herself to be this big victim. It says plaintiff Ashley Solis, according to the judge, claimed during a news conference that she can no longer practice the profession that she loves the most without shaking during a session. And this is something we detailed as well. But the judge says, yet publicly available information shows she has provided multiple massages after the alleged incident with Mr. Watson. Indeed, not only is she still accepting clients, but according to those who have worked with her, she did not show any signs of trauma during these sessions. Remember, we showed her reviews, right? Remember when we first talked about this, we showed her reviews. We did everything, right? He says, while plaintiff Toy Garner claims that by the end of the massage, she was sweating and there was nowhere for her to go, she neglects to mention she had multiple family members in the home and nearby during both sessions. So plaintiff Tory Gardner, who did the massages in her home, she didn't tell anybody that she had 3 brothers, right? 3 brothers in the home during both of the sessions. And see, as a judge and as a prosecutor, right? The thing is, and y'all wonder why a grand jury threw this out. I want y'all to imagine sitting on a grand jury and somebody's sitting here saying, oh, yeah, I got assaulted. Okay, was anybody in the house with you? Yeah. All my 3 older brothers was in the house as well. Okay, you didn't tell your older brothers about it? No, I didn't tell them about it. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. Come on. Look, we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. All right, here we go. Okay, so and like I said, the names are blurred out on the screen, but as I read this, we're gonna go ahead and just drop real names. They got Deshaun Watson's name out there. We just gonna go ahead and put it all out there. It says plaintiff Marshall Davis alleges that she was alone at the spa and feared for her life during her therapy session with Mr. Watson. However, a security guard hired by the spa was present at the spa at all times and capable of intervening if an incident had in fact occurred. Again, another incident at another spa. Security guard right in the building. What's the purpose of having a security guard if you ain't going to use the security guard? When she said in her deposition, she feared for her life during therapy sessions with Mr. Watson. How do you fear for your life during the therapy session, but you don't notify the security guard that's right in the building and it's his sole job to protect the massage therapist? Come on. We got Wicked right here. He says, so can we give the so-called victims jail time that lied under oath? And so here's the thing, and this is what prosecutors have been very good at. They've been very good at protecting accusers. And so what prosecutors, because for the women to get charged, it would be up to the prosecutors to move forward with charges. And from my research, prosecutors are very hesitant on pursuing charges, even in cases where it's shown that the woman is lying, because they believe that if they start charging women for lying, it's going to stop victims from coming forward with their stories. And they basically say we have 2 ways we can go. We can not charge anybody, whether they're lying or not, or we can just start charging people. But if we do start charging people, that's probably going to scare some people where something actually might have happened into coming forward with their story. That's how it's been explained to me. And so this is why you rarely ever see accusers, like in this case, actually face repercussions or consequences. And then for Deshaun Watson, there's no value in him filing a civil suit on these women. None of them have any money that he can get from them. So he gets nothing out of filing a civil suit against them. Now, he could be petty and file a civil suit against them and maybe kind of put them in a bad financial situation, and with liens getting placed on their property and cars and stuff. But at the end of the day, that's just going to cost him more money to do. All right. So again, it is what it is. Yes, it's on the accused to prove their innocence. That's the thing. They can really say whatever they want. And this is why in this civil case, just random people were just jumping on. Anybody that has some type of interaction with Deshaun Watson, they were just jumping onto the case. It was actually more women than this. But the attorney representing the women had to start turning some of them away, saying, hold on, your story is just too fake. I can't even push that story into court. But the ones that he thought were believable, he pushed into court, and they still had a ton of holes in it. And we're going to keep reading this. And salute to Isaac Smith and Mudbone in the chat. Lord Juno and Sam King, I see you out there. Marcus Jones, he says, salute, Lamont. Glad you cooking on this topic. Fact. AG the Great says, NFL owes my guy an apology and just compensation. Yeah, but you know what? The NFL's always going – the NFL's going to play the ESPN side. They're gonna act like they're on the side of the women and all that. That's craziness. They don't care. They don't truly care about right and wrong. They only care about what the perception is. They want to be perceived as a certain type of league. They don't really care about right or wrong. Okay, so here's the next section. The section E. The plaintiffs told others that they wanted to get money out of Watson. The judge created this section. So the judge says, based on, after he reviewed all of the depositions, all of the evidence, he says the plaintiffs told others that they wanted to get money out of Mr. Watson. Unlike Ashley Solis said, they didn't want justice. They didn't want him to go to jail. They wanted to extract money out of him. Let's read what the judge found out. The judge says, plaintiff Marshall Davis told close family members that if Mr. Watson's attorney had paid her, she would have supported him instead of suing him. She also told her family that she had contemplated blackmailing Mr. Watson. Let's move on to the next one. Plaintiff Crystal DeRosa told a witness that the only reason she was getting involved in the lawsuit was for money. She even laughed about it and stated that she wanted to get in on the action. Okay, that's two. Let's move on to the next one. It says plaintiff Shanae Lawson admittedly sought to blackmail Mr. Watson before she filed suit. She asked him to pay her $30,000 for indefinite silence because her encounter would be embarrassing if revealed. More importantly, when Mr. Watson's marketing manager, Brian Burney, asked her whether she was claiming that something happened against her will, she confirmed that everything that occurred was consensual. Finally, she told Mr. Burney that she wanted a copy of the NDA that she and Mr. Watson signed because she did not want people in her industry to know that she had provided oral sex to her massage client. Evidence of her concerns is contained in Mr. Burney's affidavit and a contemporaneous tape recording of the phone conversation. So these allegations of the women trying to blackmail Deshaun Watson are real. How do we know, or how did the judge know that this was real? It was caught on audio tape. Deshaun Watson's manager recorded the phone conversation as the judge indicated right here. I want to ask you guys one question. Did ESPN or any mainstream media tell you that that there was a audio recording of one of the women attempting to blackmail him? Normally, when these audio recordings pop up, somehow they get leaked to the public, and it would have been all if the situation was reversed and there was some audio recording of Deshaun Watson saying something crazy to one of these women. I almost guarantee that audio recording would have been leaked out to the public, and it would have been used to muddy this case, muddy his name, and just completely get him ultra canceled. Crazy thing is that there's been an audio recording of this woman, plaintiff Shanae Lawson, attempting to blackmail him, and she says she just felt that her encounter, if she revealed it, would have been embarrassing. That's why she wanted $30,000. Something to think about. Now, this is what the judge states. So the next up, it says witness state that plaintiff Kimberly Bryce has a history of forcing herself on celebrities, chasing celebrities, and running behind high-profile athletes. Her witnesses describe her as being out for money and a money grabber. Crazy right there. We'll keep going. It says during one of the press conferences Mr. Busby held regarding the case, plaintiff Ashley Solis, remember Ashley Solis, she's the face of this, claimed that she was not filing the suit for monetary reasons, but rather because this is about having her voice heard. It is about having other survivors' voices heard. Belying her assertion, though, Miss Solis would have abandoned her voice and being the voice of other alleged survivors if Mr. Watson would agree to pay her $100,000. So the woman who's the face of this case, the woman who says she wasn't filing this case for monetary reasons. Well, according to the judge, she said she would abandon this case if Deshaun Watson agreed to pay her $100,000. I want y'all to think about that one right there. This is the face. This is the one. This is the woman that was doing all the interviews, crying on TV. Makes you think about some stuff too. Makes you think. And salute. Appreciate you. Okay, salute in the Cash App. We got our first Cash App of the day. I don't see your YouTube name, so I'll just say your first name. But salute to Edith in the Cash App. Says been for a great podcast. Been watching 2 years, and also watching Mr. Skinny Show. Man, salute. Definitely appreciate you watching, and definitely salute to Mr. Skinny, man. Again, another guy that out there that just is a great content creator, man. If you live stream or you do any of that, man, he has a great format that you can follow, man. The things that he does to make his show, high quality for his fan base, man, it's ridiculous. So y'all need to make sure you check him out as well. But we got to get back to this right here. Okay, so once again, if you're coming in, we're reading the judge's disposition. This is his final disposition, his thoughts on the case, and some of the details that we're getting to. Man, this is crazy right here. All right, so we're going to move on. So again, the judge is releasing a lot of facts. So the next section, section F, the judge says plaintiffs have scrubbed or entirely deleted their social media accounts and the relevant evidence that these accounts contained. Now, the problem, and this is with a civil case, they can get away with that. In a criminal case, the judge would have ordered or subpoenaed those social media sites to turn over what information that they could recover. Because, even if you delete your account, it's not truly deleted. It still exists out there in some server. But because it's a civil case, I don't know if the judge was willing to subpoena that type of information, especially in a case where it didn't look like it was going to trial. Always looked like it was going to be settled out of court. So let's read these sections that the judge has right here. He says each of the plaintiffs' petitions contain a paragraph warning Mr. Watson to preserve relevant evidence, including digital information. Okay. It says, without question, Mr. Watson has provided all of that digital information. It says, however, the plaintiffs have failed to heed their own warning. At least 4 plaintiffs, and the judge names Crystal DeRosa, Latoya Johnson Hanks, Tavi Turner, and Marshall Davis, have altered their accounts where they advertised the services that Mr. Watson acquired before their names became public. Their accounts contain pictures that are inconsistent with the image they portray through their petitions. Remember, y'all, when this story first broke, what did I pull up? I pulled up their IG pages. What's the first thing that we saw? We saw women who were but basically naked, sitting on massage tables with an ad saying "book me," and it really just gave the presumption that if you book this woman for a massage, you know what you're getting. It was probably gonna be more than a massage. That's what we displayed, and that's the video that got taken down, and that's the video that got us suspended from going live for 90 days. But now the judge is confirming everything that we showed. All right, he's confirming it. He says these items are no longer posted on our account. It says plaintiffs Kimberly Bryce took the destruction of evidence even further by completely deleting her Instagram account, which again is the account she claims to use to market her services, and the one that Mr. Watson used to contact her and hire her for the massage. That's crazy right there. Well, keep it moving. And so the next up is just legal jargon stuff, right? It's all legal jargon from there. But it is what it is. But this judge, this judge, the judge just slammed all of the accusers in his final disposition. He slammed all of them. He essentially called them all liars without calling them liars. Right? We got a lot of sports topics to talk about today. So this is going to be one of two lives that we do today. So I wanted to make sure I go with this. So before we get out of here, I just went through all of the information. I'm going to be dropping the link. Bring some people up here. Like if you're new to the panel, don't be shy. Definitely hit the link, pull up, and let us know your thoughts on this right here. Because a lot of people and look, Jamel, it is what it is. But Jamel, I don't think anybody says that he's not stupid. The biggest question was, did he do anything illegal? That's the big question. The women weren't filing a civil case because they said Deshaun Watson is stupid. They were filing a civil case, and they tried to take this to the police because they said that he did something illegal. There's a difference between having an agreement with somebody and then sexually assaulting somebody. It's a big difference there. All I'm doing is just showcasing the facts. I mean, you can make joke of it. At the end of the day, we still showcasing the facts. Right? There's been a picture painted about Deshaun Watson by the media, but nobody's telling the factual side of it. The picture painted by the media is all based on feelings and emotions from the same perspective that Jamel Casino is trying to talk. But being dumb is not illegal. Being dumb is not a crime. I mean, if it were a crime, Jamel Casino, then you would be in a lot of trouble. Mingo Gesture says, Lamont, so let me get this straight. So they basically had an OnlyFans, but was trying to pass it off as... No, it wasn't OnlyFans, Mingo Gesture. It was Instagram. Remember, I think I deleted that portion out of my stream. If you go back to my stream, I put some of their pages up. Before they deleted their pages, I put them up on the screen. And it was just basically like advertisements for sex. Like if you have a massage table, like imagine this IG post, Mingo Jester, a massage table, somebody basically sitting naked on the table, and then there's a image. There's a words on the image that says "book me." I got you, Jamel Casino. Yeah, being dumb does get you locked up. Like I said, I know. I didn't say it doesn't. I said being dumb is not a crime. All right. Like you can try to conflate the two. A crime is a crime. Being dumb is being dumb. They're not one and the same. I mean, salute. Let's salute Big Chest, man. What's good, man? What you got on this?
Man, I knew when we did the live. I think what was it, like about 6 months ago when we did this shit, the original live. I knew something was up, and the judges findings all they all confirmed my suspicion. My thing is, if you knew if they really wanted just the bag and everything, it seems like they was just dumb about going about being sneaky and everything. It feels like they was just thinking about the money, not thinking about, oh, how can I scam this nigga or anything. It just seems like they was just, oh, he got a big bag, he's finna get a bigger bag, oh, let's just see how much money we can get. But at the same time, I'm like, Deshaun, you got to be wiser. But I'm just glad this stuff is coming out. We know the truth. It's just sad that mainstream media like ESPN, they ain't gonna tell the truth because they want to present a narrative against Deshaun.
And we all know what it is. I knew once this story came out that it was going to be hard for Deshaun Watson to his reputation to recover from it. Because I said the one thing he's not going to win is he's not going to win his reputation back with the way the media is. The media is going to kill his reputation. No matter what the facts are. Just like the media kills all these athletes that get caught up in these situations, whether true or false, they're going to kill your reputation. That's just what's popular in the media right now. They're going to try to kill it. It's on you to try to beat it in the court system. And even if you do beat it in the court system, the media don't care. Remember my classic case with Sean Oakman, right? The football player out of Baylor. The guy that was an athletic freak, should have been a top 10 pick in the draft. Gets hit up with some of these fake allegations. Career doesn't get drafted. Career in shambles. Years later, he's found not guilty. Never got his reputation back. Never got another shot in the league. Career's over just like that. Found out that the woman was lying, lied on the stand. No repercussions for her. No civil case for her, nothing. There was nothing you can really get out of her. Mingo says, did all of the women get paid or some of them? Yes, most of the women settled. I think there are a few cases still open that I think Ashley Solis just adamant about taking this to trial. I think a lot of the other women, as we see in this final disposition, a lot of the women were quick to take settlements because if they take it to trial, then all of their private information is going to get exposed publicly. And I think a lot of them said it's not worth it for me to get on stand, get found out to be a liar publicly, and then have to address that. And so I think Ashley Solis is the only one wanting to proceed with it. But again, as the judge also stated in his disposition, even with Ashley Solis, there are a ton of holes in her story. There's a ton of lies and misconception. He even called a lot of the things that she was saying borderline slanderous or fraudulent. And not just her, all of the women that I named. Jamel says Watson lost millions for being dumb. I know it is. Just like John Morant. John Morant was being dumb. He's going to lose millions out of this. Don't mean it's illegal. Oh, Denzel said Ashley already settled. Okay, so if Ashley already settled, then it's basically over.
Yeah.
If she settled, it's over.
Yeah, she said. Ain't that the same woman that was on TV crying?
On TV crying.
And she was at the freaking when he returned to Houston. She's like, but it's kind of, I don't know. This is me, but it's kind of odd that they want money, but they didn't want him to get the $300 and something million. Was it no? Yeah, $320 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of odd to me. But the whole case, in my opinion, I think is a farce. Do I think Deshaun was engaging in some salacious activities? Yes. But I think it was consensual because I know a couple of them. Didn't he fly them out? A couple of the alleged accusers?
I think in most of these cases, at least the women on here, they were all local.
Okay.
They were all local. So
And,
I don't think you really had to fly any of them out.
okay.
Isaiah Smith says actually Solis was the main instigator or the face. Yes, she was the face. But remember, that's what surprised the judge. Remember what the judge said. The judge said to close out his disposition. He says the weirdest thing. He says right here. He says the judge. This is what the judge stated. He says plaintiff Ashley Solis claimed that she was not filing the suit for monetary reasons, but rather because this is about having her voice heard. It's about other survivors' voices being heard. Belying her assertion, though, Miss Solis abandoned her voice, and being one of the voices of the other alleged survivors, and she would have abandoned her voice if Mr. Watson agreed to pay her $100,000. It was always about money. It was always about money. This case, this case was never about getting to the truth. Because if it was about getting to the truth, then people would have accepted the truth from the grand jury, where the grand jury failed to charge him criminally. That's where the truth stems. And I didn't hear ESPN or mainstream media coming out attacking the Texas legal system or the legal processes. They just came out and attacked Deshaun Watson more. That's the oddest thing. That's one of the weirdest thing to me. He's found not guilty. You say you want to attack him more. Blame the legal system. If you still truly feel he's guilty, then you would blame the legal system. Denzel says Lauren Braxley and another female who filed in October are the only. Yeah, so there were women that filed late. So we'll see how those go. Again, I still feel like it's just more of a money grab. This is what the judge said at the beginning of his disposition. At the beginning of his disposition, that's exactly the words he used. He says, this all looked like a case that was just full of a whole bunch of women that were looking to get money. That's not me talking. This is the judge. And I think y'all need to understand, because I know the Houston Texans did settle as well. Again, in civil cases, and I even said this on the last live stream about this, in civil cases, the bigger side, the more popular side, it's always going to be best for that side to settle, because they just want to get this. They want to get people to stop talking about it. Like the Texans, by settling with those women, it wasn't going to go to no trial. They weren't going to have to keep fighting it in court. They weren't going to have to dig into more details. They weren't going to have to pay any more legal fees. You just pay them, make them sign an NDA, and the whole situation is going away. So I think too many people mix settling a case with being guilty. So a lot of people are saying that because he settled, that's why he's guilty. He should have took it to trial. First of all, he's not stupid. Why would he take it to trial? That's going to cost him more money, more time. His name is going to be in the newspapers, in the media, a lot more, and he's going to continuously put his career in jeopardy by trying to fight it. It just makes no sense. The women had nothing to lose. The women could have did whatever. They could have took it to trial. They're the ones getting new notoriety, new fame. They're getting interviews. They're getting flying out to different places and people wanting to hear their story and people paying them. Come on. Salute to Mingo Jester. Mingo Jester says these women were shameful and a disgrace because now the women that actually get sexual assault will probably go unnoticed. And but what it does is it just weakens. It like the good thing is that the criminal system did his job. He wasn't charged criminally. So the criminal system in Texas worked beautifully. The civil system, obviously anybody can sue anybody for anything. And the civil system was always designed for Deshaun Watson to fail at that level, especially in a case this messy. So it is what it is. Jamel Casino says these women who signed late just made the deadline to get money. Well, that's what it's about. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's what the judge even stated. But that's what we here talking about. George Henderson says you finally found something that I totally agree with you on. Hey, man, when it's time to talk about real stuff, it's time to talk about real stuff. Because this right here is not subjective. Like, everybody's been talking about this Deshaun Watson thing from a subjective standpoint. It's time to this is all factual right here. It's all factual. Salute the Lord Juno. And Hitman X said it's free promo. Yeah, it's definitely free promo. Hold on, let me drop this link again. Let me see if I can get a few more people up here to chop it up about this, man. But I had to get this out here because, again, once I saw that the judge dropped a final disposition, and I even let it sit for a few days, and nobody was talking about it. No CBS, no MSNBC, no Fox News, no ESPN. Nobody's talking about what the judge is saying. That's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing about this case. All these media outlets keep talking about these stories and allegations and nothing that's laden in facts. But none of them talk about the grand jury and what the grand jury said. None of them are talking about the judge and what the judges have said. None of them are talking about the NFL investigators and what the NFL investigators have said. Like I think a lot of us forget it was NFL investigators, right? The NFL investigators are the ones that did an interview with one of the women's sons, and the son admitted to the NFL investigators that my mom told me to lie and she would give me some money out of the case after they won. That's what. So the NFL even found out that there was some type of corruption going on. The judge saw it. The grand jury saw it, but the media ain't talked nothing about that. How does that story get swept under the rug? Jamel Casino says Depp went to court twice to get his name clear. All right. Unfortunately, we're not talking about Johnny Depp. All right. We're talking about, and that was a completely different situation. All right. Completely different. And Johnny Depp always came out and said it wasn't about how much money he needed to spend. It was about showing the world who she really was. So he went into that knowing that he was probably going to take it to trial. And then he ultimately won. Because remember, he filed a countersuit. And the person that he was going up against actually had money. So if he filed a countersuit, there was something that he can get from her because she actually has money. There was nothing that Deshaun Watson could get out of these women. If he fights this, and usually you fight it with a countersuit, there's nothing he gets out of it. He only thing he stands to lose is more. Even if he wins, he loses a ton of money. That's all he does. So at least in the Johnny Depp situation, he could countersue and get some type of financial relief back because Amber Heard also is rich. So there was some value in him fighting it. There was no value in Deshaun Watson fighting this. No value. He fights it. Yeah, they did, but that's also renegading. That's the crazy thing. When Johnny Depp won, the media got behind his back, and he you know. But see, the media understands that as long as Deshaun Watson settles, they can always kind of manipulate you settling into some type of guilt. Or you wouldn't have settled it, just like a lot of people in the chat were saying. I think Jamel was saying the same thing. He wouldn't have settled if he wasn't guilty. No, that's not how these civil cases necessarily work. Jamel, I see you in the background, but it says your devices aren't connected. So you got to connect something. You got to connect your mic or something. So I can't let you in until that happens. Otherwise, like I said, hold on. Let me get this link out here one more time. Salute to Renegade pulling up as well. He says this was about the Texans organization, and it backfired on them. And so I know a lot of people were saying that the Texans were in on this. But it's hard for me to believe that the Texans were in on this because the women also sued the Texans. So it's hard for me to assume to say that the Texans were in on this again in some type of plot to go against Watson when the Texans themselves also got sued and they also paid out a settlement. But nobody's going to walk around saying the Texans were truly guilty of some type of heinous behavior. They weren't. They just settled because they needed this to go away. We got Retro says never understood why the women went back to him multiple times if they claim Watson. That's exactly what the judge said. Retro. The judge even went deeper. Remember, with one of the women, Retro, the judge said, "You said you were in fear of your life, and there was a security guard 15 feet from you in the other room. If you're in fear for your life, how does this security guard not alerted to what's going on? Whether it's during the alleged assault or after. How do you not notify the guy that's there to protect you? Makes no sense. And then in another incident where Deshaun Watson actually went to the woman's house, then it was discovered that all three of her older brothers were there. So this happened and all three of your older brothers were in the house and none of the brothers were notified or alerted as to what happened during or after. How am I supposed to, if you're sitting on a grand jury and you're hearing all this information, how are you supposed to consider this credible? How am I supposed to look at you as a real victim when I'm looking at this evidence? Like, people wonder why the grand jury did not move forward with a case. This is why. What you got on this big chest, man?
Hold up. So one of the accusers had three of her brothers at the same house at the same time where the alleged incident happened.
Yes, Sam. I'm gonna read it to you one more time. I just gotta find it.
Yeah, I need to. I was choked on my drink for a second. Golly.
Yep. Yeah, the judge did that. That was one of the incidents where the judge just didn't understand it. He says, you cannot tell me that you were in fear of your life. Because for one, you invited them to your house. Two, it's a big house and you got three brothers in the same house with you. And then you come into us telling us while he was there, you in fear of your life. But the thing is, when she initially reported the story, she didn't mention that there was other people in the house multiple times. She didn't mention any of that. Oh, let me see if I can find it up because this is a long document right here. But this judge went in on them bad, man. And then I think the biggest indictment to me of this entire case in the media was the issue when Deshaun Watson's manager recorded one of the women trying to blackmail him on audio recording. I think that was one of the biggest indictments. Let me see. Hold on, where's the document at? Did I close it? You said Watson still went in the house? What are you talking about, Jamil? You said the same situation with the female cop. Oh no, that's wild right there, Lord Juno.
Oh, you talking about?
That is wild right there.
Hey, yo, Lamont. The crazy thing is that situation with the cop that literally happened like 2 minutes away from my crib.
That is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is actually I actually knew the cops that were involved. One of them used to be my SRO officer in high school.
Yeah,
she wasn't groomed. She was the company. Never mind. She was the precinct hookup basically.
All right, here it is right here. I found it. It says it says right here. Hold on, make sure I got the right one. Oh, I just found it. Oh, I thought I found it. But yeah, this is still wild though, man. I'll put the link to these documents. I'll put the link to these documents in the description of the video when we get off here, so y'all can just read it for yourself. Because the judge just completely went in. He broke down all of the inconsistencies, and I don't think the judge said that there was one person in this case that was credible. I don't. In this final disposition, not one person he deemed credible. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, it was plaintiff Tory Gardner. It was Tory Gardner. It says she claimed that by the end of her massage session with him, she was sweating and there was nowhere for her to go. But she failed to mention that she had multiple family members, all three of her brothers, in the home nearby during both of her sessions. Crazy, man.
The lack of logic, really honest, the lack of logic and common sense in all these cases just befuddles me. And it's the fact that she I don't know, like I ain't gonna say lie, but she wasn't privy of this information the first few times she was telling this story about having her brothers at the house, or like, or did they ask if there was anybody at the house and she just said no and lied about it? Shit.
Mike is muted. No, this is crazy, man. You was 100% right. He says, I always knew this case really didn't make sense. It didn't make sense in retro. The biggest thing to me was that every time I heard people on the media talk about it, like Molly Karam and all them, this is when I knew there was some BS behind it, when they kept talking about trauma and like the pain and it's just like, okay, I understand that you think that there's trauma and pain, but what are the facts? What was really happening? Like if these things were really happening, you would have real details, you would have timelines, you would have text messages and things like that to kind of support some of the things that you're saying. But then as this case went on, you started seeing the victims or the so-called victims. The only thing that they were doing, they continuously did shady things after shady things to try to hide what their true intentions were. And once I started to see a pattern of that, not just from one of the women, but I'm seeing this from all of them. Just like the judge detail here, like this, what we just went through, that's not talking about one person. He talked about multiple accusers. And he talked about how none of them were really credible and how they all participated in doing shady things, from deleting the social media, deleting text messages, to lying about uh, trauma, to lying about how many appointments were had. Like, why would you lie about these things or this many things? Like, and how did they not have one good accuser? They didn't have one credible accuser. Not one. He says, the judge said 7 willingly worked or offered to work with Watson after the incidents. 3 lied about the number of sessions they had. 3 lied about the trauma. 5 told others that they wanted to get money out of Watson, and 5 others scrubbed or deleted their social media accounts and text messages. And but y'all wonder why this didn't go past the grand jury, why no grand jury was willing to bring charges up on them. We got Aaron Fraser. He says Deshaun signed his big deal, and the Texans said they were going to do what it takes to win, and proceeded to trade it the number 1 wide receiver, who were both all pros in 27. You know what? He then demanded a trade. But Aaron Fraser, I don't think it has anything to do with the Texans. Remember, the Texans also got sued in this whole ordeal. They also paid out a settlement to the women. This ain't had nothing to do with the Texans. The Texans weren't, like some people were trying to make this out to be the Texans against Deshaun. No, they got sued, and they had to pay out money just like Deshaun did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I forgot. I don't know the amounts of millions that he paid out. But my question is, if you got your money, why the hell are you still wanting to be in the media? Why the fuck do you still want attention? Because the settle, like a lot of the cases, they were settled, I think, in the middle of Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension. So why did 10 of the women wanted to come back and basically be at the Texas game and basically, I don't know, in solidarity against, sexual assault or whatever? If this man allegedly caused you so much trauma and basically did all these things to you that you allege and, in your suit against him, why would you want to be at a game with national cameras on you, with all the media on you? Why would you want to bring that attention to yourself? If you got your money and you got your settlement, why ain't you going back into whatever crevice that you came from? And I found that odd. I found it odd that ESPN covered literally the whole situation of these accusers at the game, basically giving them literally a whole 30-minute segment on freaking NFL Countdown. So, I mean...
And D. Reed, I agree right here. When I saw all of the women were represented by one lawyer, that's what made it fishy to me. And D. Reed, one thing I felt like, I said, when I saw it went from 1 woman to 3 to 5, and then it exploded up to 20, that's when I was like, okay, I see what they doing. They must not have a real strong case. So they're trying to play the numbers game. Their numbers game is, if I can get more women, it's gonna seem like they're all a bit more credible than what they actually are. Because I think the one thing everybody talks about, D. Reed, that every time you talk about this with somebody that believes he's guilty, they say, how could 20 women all say the same thing? That's exactly what this is exactly what that attorney, this is what he wanted to get into your mind. He just needed to get into your mind that little bit of doubt. And that's the one thing a lot of people can't get past. How was it over 20 women? Well, the problem is He has over 20 women, and they all, according to this judge, they all are. I'm gonna read to you how the judge detailed the women. All right. This is what the judge said, y'all. He said the plaintiffs saw an opportunity for a money grab, that they changed their stories to convert therapy sessions they bragged about to friends and families to something much more nefarious. The judge describes these lawsuits. This is how the judge, this is not me. This is not me. This is not the media. This is what the judge said in his final disposition. He says these lawsuits are replete with mischaracterizations of Mr. Watson's conduct. He says these lawsuits range from being misleading to fraudulent to slanderous. That's not what I said. That's what the judge handling the civil case said. And so while all of the people that believe Deshaun Watson is guilty, while they harp on how can it be 20 women, the judge is saying this was very sloppily put together. There's basically, no one's surprised that the grand jury did not proceed with any charges. And he's literally broken all the women down to a T. And he's explained one by one how they're all lying. And he didn't use general statements. He used names, he used situations, and he used the evidence that was presented. George Henderson, salute to Spliffs Media. He says the women got desperate and went to get money from anywhere. Yeah. And I think what had happened was when it started getting closer and closer to that trial date, that's when the women were like, okay, we need to settle. Because if this would have went to trial, those women would have been painted publicly in a much different light. You said they would have been stuck selling feet pictures, trying to get a bag out of Watson, and that's true. I mean, the face of this case, the woman who said, I want to be the voice, went to Deshaun Watson's team and said, I'll let it all go for $100,000. The face of this case, the woman who said this isn't about monetary gain, went to Deshaun Watson's camp and said, I just need $100,000 and I'll go away. You have another woman caught on audio saying, I know he didn't do nothing wrong to me, but if I talk about it publicly, it's going to be embarrassing. So I need $30,000. She got caught trying to blackmail him. That's on audio tape recording. That was presented to the court. Somehow it didn't get leaked to the public. Like I said, if this was Deshaun Watson on a phone saying something crazy to one of these women, it would have got leaked everywhere. I would have loved to hear that tape. I don't think the Texans had anything to do with it. They got sued just like Deshaun. They got a civil case just like Deshaun had a civil case. The Texans had to pay out as well. So I just can't believe that the Texans had anything to do with it. What you been up to lately, though, Big Chest, man?
School. I'm on spring break right now, so I'm just chilling.
Yeah, our spring break is early. Our spring break for GCU is not till next week.
Yeah, so yeah, we got it right there. Trying to do some stuff and everything. Trying to figure some stuff out. Honestly, yeah, I'm thinking about because I graduated in a few years, so I'm actually trying to see if I can get to GCU for a graduate school.
Hey, you would like it.
Yeah.
You like it. I remember you saying you was thinking about enrolling out here for your undergrad.
Yeah, but tuition a bitch. So
you said it was too much?
Yeah. I go to the school I go to here in Tennessee. It's like it's the cheapest tuition in Tennessee. It's like $17,000 a year.
Hey, you out there in Tennessee right now?
Yeah.
What are they saying about Ja Morant?
a lot of people, well, in Nashville, I know, like back home, where all the conservative pundits, it's basically, oh, he's a thug, he's a, he's this, and that's come from a lot of your, far right conservative pundits, and then your normal moderate people, you know, like anybody with common sense, they just think he need to sit his ass down, like legit, just stop with the foolishness. And that's what I've been saying too. Is really like I know he ain't like that. The stuff is alleged, but at the same time, you worth multi hundreds of millions of dollars. Don't put yourself in that situation. Think logically. I know he's literally the same age as me, 23. But at some point, bro, you gotta make decisions for your future because you're about to mess up a bag.
Hey, let me ask you a question, though, Big Chess. We got other faces. We got other celebrities who are African American, who aren't athletes. They're in music, they're in movies. When they do the same thing, how come we don't say the same thing? Like when Little Dirk gets on camera on IG and he's around guys that are flashing guns, he's talking about smoking his dead ops. Where's is this something? Is this something that we only putting on our NBA players, or are we gonna keep the same energy across all levels of entertainment, music, movies, and sports?
I think no, I think it's hypocritical. Like one, because we glorify, like in our music, we glorify the most negative aspects of the culture, the gang violence, the killing, the sex, the drugs, and all this negative shit. But like with Ja, like I think it's more or less one because we know Ja really ain't that dude, but still, if we gonna call it out, if we're gonna call it out with his stuff, we should call it out with everybody because when we allow this stuff to go on, uh, especially us as black folks, we're not helping each other. We're basically just we're putting each other down inadvertently without really saying anything, and we're just exacerbating the problem. And the issue I have is that if you try to call this stuff out and everything, especially like you a black person try to tell another black person, yo, don't do this, chill out with this, we got to get better. You know, they don't really accept it. They'll call you this, they'll call you out your name, they call you a buck dancer, sellout, you sounding white, masses boy, all this extra stuff. And instead of actually solving the problem, you're just making the problem worse. Me personally, I just think some people are just hard headed. Even you could tell them the truth, you could literally tell them, like, this is the right way to go, and they still gonna be hard headed. But I really don't know. But that's just my opinion.
No, but Hitman X says their image is based off being thugs, Lamont. Bad example. So is that why Allen Iverson was? That's why it was okay for Allen Iverson to hang around the crowd that he hung around and do some of the things that he did. Like I don't. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, we're not keeping the same energy because there was nobody out there telling Allen Iverson, "Don't hang around those guys. Don't put yourself in these situations." Like, but we that image was cool with Allen Iverson, and everybody keeps because this perception of Ja Morant being a fake thug only started coming out when he started talking crazy to the Warriors. Right? We're talking about an era of basketball where people says it ain't no tough guys, it ain't no rivalries, and players like each other too much. And Ja Morant's trying to give everybody a little bit of what they're asking for, and as soon as he does it, he gets called a thug, a fake thug. Then he has some off the court issues that aren't even connected. Like I said, there was this story about Ja Morant getting into a fight with a 17-year-old. That story came out months ago. And just like with this Deshaun Watson situation, this youngster now has finessed and added on to his story. Now it was more than a fight. Now he got into a fight with Ja Morant. And then Ja Morant went in the house and came back out with a gun. Right? That don't sound accurate to me. That just don't sound accurate. That don't sound 100, especially if the story came out months ago, but then you only bring up this stuff about the gun. You take months to tell us the rest of the story. It's like you trying to add on to the story when Ja Morant's reputation is getting pushed through the ground.
I think some of it is the media, but I say at some point, like, it's not even just that. I really didn't hear nothing about people calling him a fake thug. Really, like when he was talking shit to the Warriors. I just like, bro, you talking shit. You really ain't won anything. That's really what I was hearing. But it really started like with the tweets when he was responding to a troll, and he was and dude was asking, and he was like, you'll see how these hollow points feel. I don't. That was one of the first tweets I saw that I was like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about? But the last incidents, it's really just like, regardless if you think he did nothing wrong, is like, Ja, just chill out, don't put yourself in a precarious situation. That's really all I'm saying for him. I don't.
But is him showing a gun putting himself in a precarious situation? If he's a legal gun holder, then what's wrong with it? Charleston White does it all the time. I just saw a post with a senator out of the state of California with all of her kids on the post. They were all holding assault rifles. And it's just like, okay. It's just like people of all walks of life have been on social media showing guns, putting guns in their hands. But when Ja Morant does it, he is the biggest villain in NBA now.
But it's not it's the optics of it. You got to understand, he was already in hot water, stemming from incidents that's been reported from last summer. The one with the fight, and then the stuff with his mama where he allegedly, basically, a guest threatened a mall worker or something like that. So even if it's not true, you already in some kind of hot water. Why would you? I don't care if he was just doing it for fun. I don't care if he was just like, doing, this. I'm like, why would you put yourself in a situation where you basically giving them ammo to unleash on you, whether it be true, whether the stuff that they say isn't true? You're giving them ammunition. You're like, if you were paying, you're giving them the stuff to shoot at you. And it's like, just sit your ass down. Like, I'm sounding like my dad, but if I was doing that, that was what my dad would be telling me. Sit your ass down.
I get it. I understand. Like, what up, Crypto? I understand the criticism, where it's coming from. I still think it's a lot of hypocrisy attached to it, though. Hold on, Crypto. You got to turn your mic up or something. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit better.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say about the Deshaun Watson thing. Yeah, I had the most unpopular opinion at the very beginning of the whole onset. And I think I'm probably the only one on planet Earth that said at the very beginning what the judge that's confirmed that every single one of them were gold diggers and they was out to get this man. I didn't give not one single one of them the benefit of the doubt because of the way this story unfolded. It just seemed as shady from the very beginning. And I was willing to go out on the limb and take that stand from day one, and said that this whole thing was shady business. The way it was coming out, the way it was just seemed like they was manufacturing things to put out and leak to the media strategically, mind you, because this man wanted out of Houston and he said he was only going to play for one team, and that was Miami at the time. And it just seemed conveniently that all of these massage stories just came out of nowhere, out of the blue. So that's why I was willing to jump on that limb and say, I think all of them are gold diggers, every single one of them. And apparently this judge just confirmed it.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying the same thing. Like, my thing was, I'm always gonna start on the side of the athlete, just because I've seen so many cases where athletes get screwed over in these situations.
Right.
So I always start on the side of the athletes. I'm always, whether this is unfair to do this or not, I'm always going to side with the athlete until proven otherwise. And so I started off on the side with Deshaun Watson. And like you said, the way this case unfolded, when I saw it was one attorney, bringing on woman after woman after woman after woman after woman, and he's really trying this case in the media. He wasn't really trying to get these women to go file police
Right.
reports. He wasn't trying to get these women into some type of
Exactly.
canceling or anything. Like if they really had real trauma, he didn't talk like he would have. If they had real trauma, he would have kept them out of the media. But he's
Yeah.
sitting there putting them in
He
front of
went straight to
cameras,
the
talking more
media.
and more about the story. He wasn't allowing this case to unfold the proper way. And then as we saw the case fall apart, the first thing I saw was like, okay, one grand jury said, no, we ain't going forward with charges. But then when I saw two grand juries said the same thing in two different counties, I said, that's a lot
Right.
of people. Like when you talk
Harris
grand
County, and I
juries,
forgot the other one. Harris County is another one.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's
Mecklenburg
a
is another
lot
one.
of people that have looked over this case and said something ain't right. Like that's not just one or two people. That's a lot of people that this case, and
Right.
you're talking about detectives and everybody. And then when it gets to the civil level and we start seeing more and more of the facts, and it's just like, and then when like that's why we initially got in trouble when this first came out, I started pulling up the women's IG pages. And then now those pages are deleted. And it's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
delete it.
it's like whenever you start doing stuff like let's say the women did have a case and something did go crazy. Why would the attorney co-sign them doing this shady stuff behind the scenes, deleting texts and IG pages and all and information that you need? You know, it's just like if a woman gets assaulted, first thing she can't go take a shower. You got to go get the kit done, right?
Get the
For
DNA.
yeah, you
Go
have
straight to the
to.
DNA.
But these women are literally like they took this case and they literally jumped in the shower with all their evidence and washed it all down the drain. It's just like the judge is looking at it like y'all had all this so-called evidence and you completely just start hiding and throwing it away. And when you tell your story, you leaving out very important details here or there. It's just like it don't look right. And he literally broke them all down to a science. And D. Reed said, strength in numbers. This case was always about the numbers. This case was never about the credibility of the women. They tried to make it like,
They
how
try to
can all
make the
20 women
numbers
be lying?
to be credible, right? They try to
Yeah.
use that as an advantage.
That's
You
all
know,
you heard on
that
ESPN.
which is they tried to do that, and Lamont, that's even flawed because I could find ways to convince or try to convince a million people that the Earth is flat. That doesn't mean the Earth is flat. So you're just going to say that the facts are different because a million people said so? No, those are a million flat earthers that have no freaking sense. You see what I'm saying? So you could tell me about the volume of people that try to collaborate your story, but that still doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. That's what they tried to do. They was trying to manipulate the minds of the people in the media and the social media and the press to say how could, like you said, how could 23 people lie? Easy, because I can go find you 1 million flat earthers right now to tell you that the earth is flat. Does that mean the earth is flat? You know what I'm saying?
There's facts. But like I said, when I was listening on ESPN, there were certain things I just kept hearing too much. And like when Molly Karam and Mina Kimes and all these women kept saying it's 20 women. They kept throwing a number out there. Now another
Yep.
2 women. They just kept it was all by numbers. But every time I heard another case was added, I didn't hear any new details. When I was reading all the women's cases one by one in another live stream, all their stories sounded eerily similar. The wording that they use, the setup of the story, talking about some of the things that they said with the fear and the trauma. It's just like it sounded like they were all being coached to say certain things, certain trigger words, where that it triggers people, and once people are triggered, they stop doing real investigation into it. And so this case triggered a whole bunch of people. People stopped doing research from that point forward, and that's where they labeled Deshaun Watson whatever they wanted to label him from there. And that was the sad part about the case. You said they did the same thing to Bill Cosby. Yeah, they got Bill too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, they try to use the numbers and the age thing. This story's been out there for a while. Look how many people's coming out, the woodworks. It's crazy how they try to manipulate people.
And all for what though? I mean, this literally got This accomplished nothing other than embarrass a whole bunch of people. That's all it did.
Right.
He said, "We call it straight." Well, this is that. Why do you think gangs have power? The reason why gangs don't have power because they're the strongest. Gangs only have power because of their numbers. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's their numbers. There's no such thing as a 2-man gang. Ain't nobody gonna be scared of a 2-man gang.
Right.
So again, there's always gonna be strength in numbers in these cases, and the numbers. Seeing all these cases, it stops people from asking questions. Okay, you got 20 women. Now you stop asking questions. But I like what the judge said as we wrap this up. The judge said these lawsuits are replete with mixed characterizations of Mr. Watson's conduct. And I like how the judge worded that part as well. Because I think the judge understands that Deshaun Watson's conduct in this was questionable. Because he was making some decisions, just like people in the chat were saying, that were dumb.
Yeah. It was more like an immature 24-year-old.
Well, you know what
party and like to get out.
What I said, Crypto, was I said I think he's a sex addict.
Yes, that is a true thing, Lamont. That is a real thing.
And I said, so when you talk about his conduct, like again, that may be what led to it. I don't know if Deshaun Watson's willing to admit that, but I believe when you're dealing with this many women, where we all know that something occurred, probably sexually with all of them.
Right.
Well, then we know, okay, well, that could be the reason why we have the volume, because I think you have an issue there. And then, but the judge said the lawsuit is just full of mischaracterizations of his conduct. There was certain conduct that he was doing, but they've mischaracterized that conduct as something illegal. And then he says, these range from being misleading to fraudulent to slanderous. Why would the judge say that? That's the main thing. Why would the judge in this case close out this case by saying that, using those 3 words? And he says, importantly, he says the most important part about this case, he says there's only 2 of the lawsuits alleged that there was any force. All right. Which they say Watson had always denied force. And, man. Like I said, I compel y'all to read these documents. It's a ton of legal documents out about this. How people don't have all the information is crazy. Right. He says these accusations are getting dangerous. It should be, but Keith, like I said before, prosecutors are the ones that determine prosecution. They're never going to charge these women because it's going to kill them in other cases. It's going to be so hard for them to get women to step forward and talk, right or wrong, in other cases, if you run around and you get to locking these women up every time they lie. And so I think prosecutors have universally come to the conclusion that this is going to happen. We're not going to charge when it happens. We'll live with the results. And this is the society that we live in. I mean, if you want those laws to change, then we got to push for changes in the law that's going to force prosecutors to do something about it. But until then, it's going to stay the same. I don't see it changing. What are your thoughts on this Ja Morant situation, though, Crypto?
It was one of those things as far as, you can kind of say his immaturity got the best of him as far as, he has a right to do that if he's a legal carrier and everything like that. It's just more like the timing of it, as far as, especially after you got this big, huge contract and all that good stuff, and you're trying to set an example for people coming underneath you. And then this whole incident about him, I guess, pistol whipping somebody, a 17-year-old, is not a good look. So it's more like, and then you do that right after that whole story unfolds. So it's kind of like the timing of it all things. So kind of everybody can easily pile on the negativity of it because of the story about the 17-year-old, and then this Instagram live video comes out. So it's more like a timing issue when it comes to the Instagram part of it.
And I mean, if you
stories right in the media right away like that, you kind of that part you got full control over. He could have did that at another time.
I mean, if you're that 17-year-old kid, I mean, this happened at the best time. I mean, you made allegations that he pulled a gun. He shows a gun on IG Live. Oh, my lawsuit.
Right.
And this is where I say.
So it's kind of like feeding right into his case. It's like, see, there you have it.
And so what people are going to do, which we've already seen it happen, they're saying, well, he must have pulled a gun on this guy if we saw him with a gun in the club. Like people are conflating.
Right. And exactly. It's easy to conflate the two, right?
You conflate the two. Now people are connecting these two like they have something to do with each other. And it's just like they're both isolated incidents.
Like crazy. Right. It's isolated, but yeah. You didn't have no distance in between the two stories. You kind of let one cool off, and then you go out there on that whole, wait till the end of the summer, wait till the summertime, when you out there doing stuff like that.
I think the only issue I have is like if they found out that like if he brought the gun on the team plane, which is like grounds for like an automatic 50 game.
That's team plane.
Yeah, because he was at a Denver nightclub when the Instagram video happened. So they try to see if he actually bought the gun to the plane and everything, but that's really
that's
just
a good point. Yeah.
No, but at the same time, it's like because I'm not saying because I don't think I met Ja before and I had a decent conversation. It was like a 20-minute conversation with him. I was like, what, 4 years ago? Yeah, it'll be 4 years ago. And from what I could tell, like he's a good dude, good heart, good-hearted dude, deep down.
Yeah.
I just think, the decision, like just the optics of it, like regardless of where this thing is true, whether it's true or not that you beat up the kid and then pulled a gun on him, or the thing with the mall incident where you threatened the mall worker. The security guard, yeah. Like, regardless if it's true or not, like, optics. Not to mention, it's the stuff, because that's alleged. Well, isn't it alleged just the bullshit that he been tweeting over the last 6 months? The shit about, I understand, you respond to trolls, but if you're going to say, you going to see how them hollow points feel, I'm like, bro, what you talking about? Is, and then the thing is, and people say, well, we got, and then the whole thing, well, maybe he needs help or his mental health. And I'm like, I'm not going to say it's not, but, I don't want to absolve him. I'm not saying that. My saying is, sit your ass down before you get in more trouble than your behind can handle. Because that's really what this is about. Don't put yourself in a position where you can literally possibly ruin generational wealth. And I just hope he got somebody in his corner that's like, yo, Ja, hey, yo, you good, man? It's all, this ain't fun in games. We can play around, we can talk shit. We can talk shit about the other teams. Saying that we find in the West. That's all cool. But this stuff, man, you might just be playing around, but you fucking with your money. And if we want to get serious about it, he's he doing all this stuff, and he might just be playing around. Somebody gonna try to test him. That's really just my thing. And my only fear is just, my hope is that I just hope somebody just talks some sense in him. That's really what I just pray to happen. Somebody just says like, yo, bro, just chill out for right now. Lay low for a bit, and then, when shit calms down, then, maybe you could get back out. That's my hope. But I'm not castigating him or demonizing him because I really don't think, he's what the media is trying to, or some people in the media are trying to, make him out to be. I just hope he just takes a step back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Hey, to Bob in the chat, there was a gag order on this case for Deshaun Watson. So that was another reason why Deshaun Watson wasn't talking about it. But now that the final disposition has come out, the gag order has been removed. So I do expect to finally hear from Deshaun Watson, but here's the problem. the one thing he doesn't want to do by talking is to sound like he's attacking the so-called victims. So it might be best for Deshaun Watson since he has settled these cases. It still might be best for him just to not say nothing and just get to football, because it's not going to do him any justice trying to win the war in the media. He's already lost in the media. Doesn't matter what he says. There's enough information already out right now. If the media wanted the truth, it's out there. If the media wanted to know if he really did this or not, there's enough evidence out there that clearly shows that these women are lying. And this is all in court documents, not just what people are saying. It's all in court documents. So the media doesn't care about the truth. So him saying anything is not going to help him. I think he just needs to go on with football, get these settlements paid off, and move on, because it's not going to do him no good. And when it comes to Ja Morant, like, is he young and dumb and does silly stuff? Yes. But all this other labels get put on him. Like now they're trying to push this story that he might have had the gun on the team. I don't believe he had a gun on the team bus. I don't believe it.
You think he knows somebody locally that may have access to? Anybody locally he has access to?
Hold on, where was he in the nightclub at? Where was that at?
I thought that was in Colorado.
Yeah, and what happened? And that's why it's being investigated now. Like, that's the situation he put himself in. I believe it could have potentially been somebody else's gun, but man, oh man, that was stupid of him, man. Man, that was dumb.
Salute Lamont.
Yeah.
What up, Dan?
Crypto. I joined in the conversation late. I just want to know, Lamont, what's your thoughts on this situation? If because I know you're a coach and all that, and are you kind of sad to hear this news and all that? And what's your thoughts on it?
Oh, Ja?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it is, like, the thing is, like, if you understand this generation, I understand him wanting to have fun and live his life. To me, I'm conflicted because there's so much hypocrisy in it.
Yeah.
Right. We see so many other types of entertainers, like, because I consider an NBA player entertainer. That's literally what they putting on their taxes. They putting the entertainer. Like, that's what they put. So it's just like we in so many other types, and I know Hitman X was saying different, but in so many other types of entertainment, it's okay to portray this image. It's okay to flaunt the guns. It's okay to be the tough guy and all this stuff. But when it comes to basketball, it's not okay. And it's just like, how can we now be mad that he's trying to portray an image that we celebrate? We love this image. We love the rappers that do it. We love the drill music, right? When Young Thug is facing a RICO case,
charge.
Not just a RICO case, but it's literally shown in court documents that he is connected to murders. He has a snitch in his case, one of his own guys that's sitting there talking to the detective, explaining to the detective how Young Thug is associated with certain shootings and murders. Like, there's a direct connection to him in real crimes. Yet we still have people in our community saying free Thug. Like, we accept it, we love it, but then now all of a sudden with Ja Morant, we want to demonize him for doing the things that we celebrate in everybody else, all other entertainers. And to me, that's the fun. That's where, for me, it's hard for me to get on this train of bashing Ja Morant when, one, he hasn't been charged with any crime.
Good point.
Nothing in his past suggests to me, like, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt because he has no past. And I'm not going to take his actions or words on the basketball court and use that to say he's trying to portray this image of being a thug. So I've always told people, basketball players have to have a certain type of edge or MO. If his MO or edge is being tougher than what he might normally be in real life, that's just what makes him a great basketball player. But I'm not going to conflate that with real life. And people are taking basketball stuff, mixing it with real life, and the timing of him flashing that gun with the guy that said that he got in a fight with Ja Morant, saying that Ja Morant pulled a gun on him, is just very odd. But man, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn in it because I'm just not willing to tear him down or say he needs to change or do anything when he ain't done anything wrong. And I don't like this fake suspension by the NBA talking about he needs to step away from the team. For what? What does he need to step away from? He only stepping away so people can shut the hell up talking about it so he can come back to playing basketball. He's not doing it. He's not going home. He's not getting therapy. There's nothing he needs to get real help with. He's just sitting at home saying, when are they going to shut the hell up talking about me? That's all he's saying. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy here that a lot of people don't want to really address. What up, Keith Cunningham?
Yeah, what's up, man? How y'all doing? How the panel doing? I just wanted to chime in. That Ja Morant situation, that was bad because you don't want to see a young man like that really getting into his prime, man. He was doing well for himself, right? But when I first saw this, that the case happened, it made me think about his dad, and I just sat back and watched it for a little while. And earlier this morning, I was looking at, they're trying to pivot now, and they already got Ja Morant, then they're going to say something about the parents. And I think that's just wrong. I don't want that narrative to get put out there because it's very rare that you see a father like when he came in the league, standing with him on that. He talked a lot about his father, but I'm seeing how that's getting pivoted toward, if the parents weren't doing anything, or what were their parenting skills, or what was his dad, why his dad didn't say anything about it. Listen, if you raise kids, after a certain point, you can nurture and teach them, but once they get a certain age, they make decisions for themselves. They make decisions for themselves. And I don't like the way this is pivoting. If y'all go and see how this is trending now. Now they bringing up the incidents of his mom calling him to the store in the mall, which that's her son. That's her protector too. I just don't like the way it's going, y'all. That's it. I just want to jump in and get y'all thoughts on that.
Yeah. Okay. So the situation, they said she called. Yeah, his mom called him, but people bring up the fact that he brought 8 or 9 of his friends with them, and whatever he said to the security guard that got people ruffled up, that caused the police to file a report. My thing is, I agree with you. I don't like what the media is doing. I don't like how they bring it up. His daddy said, his dad needs to. I think his dad did a good job with them. And I said, maybe because you can't assume that he hasn't. Maybe he has. I'm grown. I'm the same age as him. My dad tell me some stuff, and if I'm keeping the buck, do I listen to him every time? No. So you can tell your son what to do and what not to do. Is that child gonna listen? Probably not all the time. So Ja grown man too. My thing is, he hasn't done nothing illegally wrong. I don't think. It's just, my thing is, with all this stuff surrounding him in the media, this negative stuff, don't literally give the people that are literally trying to shoot at you, don't give them more ammo. That's literally all I'm saying. The meaner way would be saying, just sit your ass down somewhere. That's really what he needs to do, because all this extra stuff, it's just drama. Now with the NBA, I don't know what's gonna happen. Is he gonna get suspended more than what he already is? I don't know. I pray not. I hope not. But if he does, it's just something he's gonna have to learn from. I think he's a good man. I think he's a very talented young player. But I just feel like, he just gotta chill out a little bit. That's really that's my honest thoughts about it.
I agree with you.
Action says here. He says that's P Rose, big chest. He says they have clear rules with having a gun on NBA. Yeah, they do have rules about having guns on, but I didn't see Ja Morant with a gun on NBA property. I saw him in a club.
Yeah, no, they try to assume. That's what they're doing. That's why they have the Colorado the Colorado police or whatever city in Colorado or the Denver police. That's what they're investigating because they're trying to see how did Ja get the gun in the Denver nightclub. That's basically what they're trying to see. And the assumption is, did he have it on the plane coming to Denver?
Mm-hmm. Man, that's a tricky situation, man. Hopefully he can get that situation straightened out. I just hope it's a learning lesson for him. And Ja Morant needs to understand that the media can boost him up to get him where he was at, but they can tear you down just that quick.
True.
And that's what we're seeing right here. We seeing Ja Morant is getting his lashes from the media because the media it's opportunistic, man.
Yeah, the media is very powerful. And Ja just got to move smarter because, like, it can put him in danger, too, And it's like, you're a great player. I don't want to see Ja put himself in danger and all that because, I think that's another thing in the media. I feel like should be more encouragement for Ja like, to get better instead of downgrading him, if that makes sense. Because I feel like that could do more to help a person than, like, just bashing. Because I think he already understands he kind of messed up. Because if he gets suspended 50 games, their season's over. That's just without a fact. So it's like,
I don't believe he gets suspended. I just don't think the NBA is gonna have enough information to really move forward with a real suspension, especially when I hear the news come from like Fadeaway World or some stuff like that. It wasn't even, I don't know how true it is. Oh, One Cool P said I missed the beginning again. Yeah, you got to go back and watch the beginning. One Cool P, you missed some crazy information. We read the final disposition from the judge in the Deshaun Watson case, in the civil case. We read what the judge's thoughts on the case were as he closed it out, because they closed it down due to all the settlements that Deshaun Watson gave out. So make sure you chew that. Make sure y'all always give support, man. And say what's up to One Cool P, one of the top minds of the channel, man. Always coming through, supporting heavy. Also in the Hall of Fame as well. But look, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get this one shut down. I'm gonna be going back live. What time is it now? Okay, so I'm gonna be going back live in literally 2 hours. We're gonna get back to basketball. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. We got a lot of stuff. Gilbert Arenas is back at it, killing the 80s.
What happened with Gilbert?
Just killing the 80s, just being too honest about it again. Being too honest again. And then you had Gary Payton came out and said John Stockton was harder to guard than Michael Jordan.
Oh, he did. I saw that. I said that one. Hey, Lamont, you know I'm a Jazz fan, Lamont. We all know this. I'm the only black Jazz fan in America. So we all know this, Lamont. So when Gary Payton came out and said that, I was floored. I was like, I can't believe what I just heard. He
Michael
said John
Jordan?
Stockton was the best.
He said they asked Gary Payton who was the hardest player for him to guard.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. He said John Stockton. I was like, are you?
When he said Stockton, they was like, not Jordan. He was like, no. But then he doubled down. He explained. He went into detail as to why John Stockton was harder to guard.
Oh wow,
man,
that's crazy. I gotta hear that.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. I'm talking. As soon as he said that, bro, the Jordan fans started going to work trying to fix that one.
I know it's nasty take. Listen,
they were trying to fix that one.
I'm not a Jordan fan, but that is a nasty take. I seen Jordan do some crazy stuff. That's just. Y'all Jazz gonna get Victor though. Y'all gonna be tough.
Yeah, man. We can get Victor through those picks. We should be good, man.
No, y'all not gonna get him. My Thunder gonna get him. Just want to get your hope.
I know. We won too many. We won too many games. We done spoiled that freaking tank job.
But shout out Lamont. You're doing great things. I appreciate you for letting me up. I'm most definitely gonna tune into his stream in the next 2 hours. It's gonna get spicy.
Yeah, we're gonna be live in 2 hours, man. So, man, make sure y'all tune back in. We're gonna be pulling back up, but
okay.
We gotta talk about it.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it.
Gotta talk about it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go, man. We gotta get this one shut down. Salute Crypto.
All right.
And salute to Dev as well, man. Oh man, it's crazy information displayed on this stream. Look, if you're pulling up late and you missed the information that we gave out at the beginning of this stream, make sure you rewind it back and you check out the beginning of this stream. Because man, Kirk Royce says either you believe in the Second Amendment or you don't, and that's what I'm saying. Kirk Royce, I think it's tricky with Ja Morant because because they weren't in Memphis. I guess he was at a club in Colorado. So I think the question remains is, how did he get a gun in Colorado? Did he put it in his luggage? Did he fly with the team? Did he fly with that gun in his luggage, which is against NBA rules? And so I think Ja Morant created a situation where the waters were muddy. And let's say the gun wasn't his. Let's say it belonged to one of his buddies. Well, that means now he's going to have to give up the name of who was the buddy. Is he even registered to carry the gun? If he's, now that the police are involved, is he willing to tell the police whose gun it was? He's going to have to answer these questions now. So he's put himself in a very peculiar situation. I don't want to 100% slam him for it, but it's the situation he put himself in. He's got to get himself out of it now. He's dealing with the team. And so leading up to this situation, right before that incident in the nightclub happened, it was reported that Steven Adams and the captains of the team, they were having a team meeting about Ja Morant's behavior and discipline on the road. So I'm assuming right before this happened, his team felt that his behavior while traveling with the team on the road was starting to get out of hand and a bit irresponsible. And so it's just like everything is crashing down on Ja Morant at one time. From the accusations with the kid to the nightclub incident to the team meeting to getting suspended, now potentially facing a bigger suspension, to now the police are involved. He's fighting. Now he's fighting an uphill battle. And he needs to understand when he comes back, because he will come back from this, he needs to understand that this media is not your friend. Whether it's social media, whether it's mainstream media, it's not your friend. And all these things that, canceling people does not work. I don't believe in the canceling Kirk Royce. But if we're just being real about the climate that we're in, you have to be aware of it. And I think he just needs to be a bit more aware of what's really going on. Yeah, Colorado police, yeah, they out to get an NBA player, so. But yeah, man, look, close to 300 people in here today watching, man. That was a great stream. A lot of information disseminated, man. A lot of stuff we were able to talk about. And like I said, if you missed this stream, make sure you go back to the beginning and watch from the start, man. We put out a ton of information that you do not want to miss, man. We got 2 new show sponsors, y'all. We got 2 new show sponsors. So make sure that when we start putting these codes out, and we have a new sponsor of the channel that I think is going to give everybody in here an opportunity to literally make money just by turning your phone on. Crazy to think of, but it's true. When we go live again, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be putting links out there. It don't cost anybody a dime, but it's still a way for you to make money just by powering on your devices, man. And crazy to think of, but we're going to be explaining it with one of our new partners and sponsors of the show. Kirk Royce says we disagree on stuff, but you have a good heart praying for Ja Morant. Yeah, you got, but the thing is, I do have a soft spot for the players, man. And you have to, as a coach, now as a coach, now I see what the players are dealing with on and off the court. Just on the level that I coach at, there's pressure. Like GCU and the club program that we have, it's not the biggest basketball program in the world, but GCU puts a ton of pressure on these guys to perform at a high level, right? I mean, if we look at where we're at right now, we just finished the regular season 25-3. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on us to win the national championship this year. We lost in the national championship game last year. 2 years prior, obviously we missed a year because of COVID, but then the other year we were in the championship game and lost then. So we've lost 2 national champions. It's pressure on me. I got 2 seniors who I've been riding out with them for 4 years now. Man, I got to get it. It's pressure all over the place, and these players feel it. So I mean, once you start looking at it from the player perspective on any level, sometimes I think we too quick to judge and tear down these players. We're just too quick, because there's so many people that you just take time to look at you and the decisions you made. You probably see a lot of similarities. You probably see a lot of the same things. But salute to Kirk Royce, man. He said it's pressure. Just make sure to love them unconditionally. Oh, yeah, we got love for all the players, man. All the players, man. It is what it is. I've had to let a few go. This season's been weird because it's the first time I lost 2 starters. One just stepped away from the team, and another I had to remove from the team. And, we've been dealing with a lot of ups and downs, but we still found a way, and the expectation for us to win is still there. Luckily, we're hitting our stride right now, so, I think we'll be all right. All right, we'll be at UCLA in a couple of weeks. For us, it's win or go home from here on out. So that's all we got to do. Hey, but y'all, it's FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast episode, man. Make sure you guys, we're going to be back in about 3 hours. We're going to be back live in about 3.5 hours or so. You'll see the live when it goes up. So make sure you guys pull up, man, to the next live stream. We're going to go with a little bit of NBA talk. Maybe we could touch on this Ja Morant situation a little bit more, and we definitely got to talk about Gary Payton. Gary Payton says John Stockton was harder to defend than Michael Jordan. Is it fact or fiction? Is it just more hate for Jordan, or is it just Jordan was just not the dude that y'all thought he was? Gonna be crazy, but it's gonna be a good show. It's FYF Sports, another great podcast episode. We're gonna be back. More sports and news. Until then, man, it's FYF Sports, and we out.